Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Jolene with Jovi Star Astrology. Hope you're all doing well. We have a very active astrological week. I'm going to break down the transits and the planetary positions here for you in just a second. The chart is up as usual. But first, I want to thank you for being here and ask you to subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell for when I post new videos. Like and share. And just know that I appreciate your membership as it helps me build the channel. So I super appreciate it. So also, if you are interested in a personal reading, please head over to my website at jovistar.com. That's JOVESSTAR.com. Send me a message in the contact section. I will get right back to you. Okay, so we have the chart here. Big things happening. Today is May 10th. And we have Mercury, the messenger, in its home sign of Gemini, stationing direct and ready to begin its retrograde back through Gemini into late Taurus between today and June the 3rd. Of course, we know there are shadow periods prior to and just after where we can still feel the Mercury retrograde lingering in the air, and we may have felt it already. And so breaking down Mercury retrograde, or any retrograde, it means that a planet appears to be moving backwards. Therefore, the energy is rolling back. The planet isn't actually physically moving backwards, but from where we stand on Earth, it does appear to be moving backward, and then of course that energy sort of comes in backwards and wonky and affects us here on the planet. So Mercury being the messenger, like I said, the mind, we're talking about communication, we're talking about planning, we're talking about short trips, signing contracts, reviewing things, reading, writing, anything that has to do with the mind and communication. Yes, short trips also affects purchases. So Mercury rules the mercantile, it rules transactions. So that is what we're looking at, the areas that we're looking for this Mercury retrograde to affect between now and June 3rd and a little bit after that. So when a planet goes retrograde, and everybody, even if you're not an astrology enthusiast, everybody has heard of Mercury retrograde, right? And it's dreaded and feared, although it shouldn't be. It is the universe's way of getting us to pause and stop and think when other things are going on in the sky that are pretty heavy. And usually that's the case when Mercury goes retrograde. Of course, it goes retrograde 3 times a year. And this is our second retrograde of 2022. So Mercury retrograde. Now we also have Jupiter moving into Aries today. Aries, the sign of action and heroism and big ideas, passion. This could have everybody feeling a little bit more energized after Jupiter has been in Pisces for so long, where it was watered down a little bit and, very good for dreaming and creativity. But we may have all felt a little sleepy and sort of, in a fog of some sort. Now that Jupiter moves into Aries, things get really, really big and really action-packed. And of course, Venus is already in the sign of Aries, which is all about what we value and what we love and how we express love. It's about money too. So we may feel like getting out there and buying things, taking action, getting exercise, speaking our mind, standing up for ourselves, all of those things in the sign of Aries, which represents the self. Aries is all about the I. So it's me. It's the beginning of the cycle. Jupiter going into Aries is kind of a big deal because Jupiter takes 12 to 13 years to complete a transit around the zodiac. So this is the beginning of a cycle for Jupiter, and that is all about expansion and truth, and it's standing up for ourselves. So a lot of focus on on you and how you feel and what's going on and what you want to do and how you want to take action. And coming out of Pisces, where we were dreaming and being creative, we now have the power behind us to actually take action, and we may want to do that very quickly. So very good energy. We should all be feeling a lot better and a lot more energized. But you know, with Pluto, we'll go to Pluto, which is making a trine to Mercury. We'll be trining Mercury and the Sun for most of the month, for the balance of this month. And Pluto is bringing things up for us, and that could be things that are of an emotional nature. It could be things from the past coming back to be revisited or reviewed. Trining Mercury, that would be classic and standard. Could be things coming up that out of nowhere that we weren't aware of even. Pluto brings things up so that they can be resolved. And Pluto, as we know, is the planet of power, change, transformation, sex, death, other people's money, taxes. So we're talking about a lot of different things that can come up either into your subconscious or just come up and be placed right in front of you, and the universe is saying, okay, now it's time to take care of it. Take care of this, to revisit this, to review this. We have Saturn that is still squaring the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio, making sure that we are making calculated, responsible moves, that whatever we want to move from South Node to the North Node, that we have not left anything out there unfinished, that we've actually tied up all the loose ends, and we are actually ready to move forward. A lot of us are changing our ideals and our goals and our visions. Many of us, and I've talked to many people, and I am no exception, are changing where they sit in the world. It's sort of like it's been a period of time of what's important, what is the meaning of life, what do I truly believe in, where do I want to land, and those are all good things. A lot of it is about spirituality and emotions, and you know, everybody has experienced that differently through enhanced creativity or through periods of sadness or depression, however that has come about for you. What we know is that most of us are experiencing significant change as we move into the future. So we have, in the evolutionary process, we have things that come up that say, okay, if this is what you want to move from here to here, there are certain things that have to be in place before we can actually do that. So Saturn is a 7-year cycle, so you could recently have seen things coming up from, 7 years ago. The nodes last traveled in Taurus and Scorpio 18 years ago. So anything from the last 7 to 18 and 20 years or so coming back up, things that you thought were long gone, dead and buried, coming back up and asking to be resolved or reworked in some way. We could have all had a few curveballs and some surprises thrown at us. And again, that could be material things that come up, or just themes coming back that we've dealt with in the past, or it could be just some kind of deep-seated emotional issue. Whatever it is, it can inspire you if you're stuck right now, or it is providing some sort of situation to pay attention to, so that moving forward into a new place in your life, which is what this last new moon encouraged us to do, to plant the seeds of newness in a new world, thinking about what's important, how can we simplify our lives, what do we really want. That's resources and just our immediate environment, the comfort levels, and we are beginning something new. So to do that, we have to make sure that we've wrapped up the past. So a lot of you could have had things from the past come up. I was reading something this last week, and it said, gee, the person that was experiencing these recent days here says, gee, I know what it feels like, or posing the question, how does it feel to be reliving the last 18 years? And that's happened to a lot of people, just things coming up that we thought were long gone. It's happened to me. I won't get into the story, but it has. And I had a hard time remembering the details of what happened in this particular situation. I think part of it was 7 years ago, and then 17 years ago. And I had a hard time remembering the details, but I had to, because I needed to figure things out so I could move a plan that I'm working on forward. So that was interesting, and that may have happened to some of you. So keep an eye out for that. Back to the Mercury retrograde and Jupiter and Venus in Aries, and the fact that we might be having things come up that we have to deal with and rework, and maybe things causing us delays or frustrations. With Jupiter and Venus in Aries, if we have had a difficult time, and this energy charges us up, we want to be very, very careful that we're not trying to move our plans forward or resolve the issues that have come up for us in an aggressive or impulsive way, because that is something that can happen with Aries. Jupiter and Venus in Aries is about really, it's going after what we want, standing up for ourselves, but it can be a little bit selfish, and it can, if you're in a bad place, it can come from a place of feeling like a victim. You're going to stand up for yourself and argue your point. You want to get where you want to go, and it doesn't really matter who you stop or walk over to get there. So that's something to be really careful of, is that a level of arrogance or vindictiveness or competition that might come in that is so intense that it actually affects your relationships or people around you. Even if it doesn't, and it's a bit of a reckless action or energy that you're taking on, it would be wise to slow down and think about that, because even though we're feeling energized and very strong in our positions, in terms of what we want, when all of this passes and the dust settles and some of these things are worked out in our lives, we might regret being a little bit hasty in the long run. So that's where I like Mercury retrograde, because there may be, in your quest to move things forward and really stand up for yourself, there may be things that come along in communication, like planning trips, things that come along that might irritate you because you have this itch to get things going, and then there's a delay that comes. Something goes sideways, you have to rework it, replan it, renegotiate it, and it might be irritating at the time, but Mercury has its intention, and sometimes that intention is to purposely slow us down so that we make that, so that we can move a little bit more cautiously, so that we're not completely reckless, and in doing something that causes a disaster or affects us going into the future. So I kind of like this Mercury retrograde. for this time period with all of this brand new Aries energy coming in after being in sleepy, creative Pisces for quite some time. What else do we have? We have this powerful new lunar eclipse coming up this weekend. All that is, I mentioned, squaring Saturn and requiring us to deal with our past in some way, give something up so that we can move forward. This could be very emotional. It could actually affect our physical world. Taurus and Scorpio are fixed signs. Taurus is an earth sign. So whatever might be coming out from behind the curtain or up to deal with could be very emotionally charged and very significant in its effects in our physical world. So that can materialize in many different ways. A lot of it depends on what points in your chart and what areas of life these nodes are transiting, where Saturn's sitting, what Pluto is dredging up for us. Could be very difficult, could be inspirational. It could be bringing something up that might help you feel a little more energized and more positive and confident, that actually moves you forward, or at least gives you a perspective that helps you understand that sometimes slow and steady wins the race. So, overall the theme is take advantage of the extra energy and the optimism, but tread lightly, plan carefully. If something comes up that feels like it is a stop stick, deal with it. And then know that when you do that and move forward, the path is clearer for an easier transition. So a lot going on. Don't be afraid of Mercury retrograde. I do like it for this time period, like I mentioned. Keep an eye out for things coming up in these cycles that are being hit right now. So 7 years to 18 years. I'd like to hear if any of you have had things come up from the past where you're like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that happened, or I don't even remember what that was. Now you have to deal with it, or just something you thought was buried and gone, whether it came back up and provided inspiration or it provided a little bit of an irritating situation for you to deal with. Just remember, we're all moving forward. The society is evolving, and I think all of us have been softened by everything that we've been through in the last 2 years. So ultimately, this gets us to the other side. So thanks for coming. I'll be talking more about this lunar eclipse throughout the week, getting started on the horoscopes for Gemini season a little bit early, and working on the adoption story. I am still looking to start a birth chart analysis workshop soon, and would love it if anybody's interested, if you would pop that in the comments or get a hold of me on my website. I think that will be fun. It will teach you how to dive into your own personal story in history and what your intended path going forward might be. Astrology is amazing, and it is definitely a tool to help bring us into awareness and validate your path and your experiences, for sure, if nothing else. So thanks for coming. I appreciate it as always, and have a great week. Hold on to the reins if you need to. Step lightly and carefully if you can, but have some fun. Good luck to all of you. I will talk to you soon. May the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care, and until next time, bye.